One is willing to talk about it, so I am going to talk about this. GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic and Mounjaro is all the rage nowadays, not only in the diabetes world, but also in the weight loss world as well. Now, it's helping people lose crazy amounts of weight, and it's also helping people lower their A1C as well. So, what's the catch here? I've been watching TV, and every time an ad comes on, 8 out of 10 times, it's GLP-1 drugs ad. And I really wanted to talk about this because I think people deserve to know what they're doing to their bodies when they are taking these drugs. Now, I am not all anti-medications. I do believe that some medications are helpful and can advance human health. However, when it's something that you can actually deal with natural methods, why not use the natural methods without all the significant side effects, right? And one thing that I also want to, put a disclaimer out here, if you decide that, Ozempic or GLP-1 drugs, or you and your doctor feel like it's the right fit for you, and if you do feel like that, then that is your personal choice. I do not shame you. It is totally fine, and I respect that as well. There's even clients in our Reversing Diabetes program that still choose to be on GLP-1 drugs, and I respect their wishes. That is totally fine. I'm not against that. However, if you do want to know what the side effects are, this video is for you. Now, let's talk about how GLP-1 drugs came about. So when they learned that GLP-1 is actually very significant in helping people feel satiated, helping people suppress their appetite, they actually started to formulate the GLP-1 drugs after the Gila monster's venom. So Gila monster sounds like a legend monster, but it's actually just a lizard. And what the venom does is that it paralyzes its victim so that it can start, attacking its prey, right? So when it comes to GLP-1 drugs, what it does is that it also slows down your digestive system, which is also why a lot of times people don't have the appetite, because their digestive system actually slows down, and that's why they lose a lot of weight. Now, problem comes here. A lot of gastrointestinal issues have been found stemming from these GLP-1 drugs. And these gastrointestinal issues include severe constipation and gastroparesis, which is the result when your gut slows down. Now, even in a lot of my experience in working with people, they do see higher incidence of having a severe constipation and gastroparesis when they do take these GLP-1 drugs, especially Ozempic. A lot of studies do show that GLP-1 drugs are linked to increased risk for gastrointestinal issues. Now, at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about how you can actually get the benefits of GLP-1 drugs with natural foods itself. But for right now, let's focus on other side effects that GLP-1 drugs bring. Other side effects that GLP-1 drugs bring also include malnutrition, because the way the drug works is that it suppresses your appetite so that you eat less. So obviously when you eat less, when you intake less calories, you lose weight, right? And in some cases of losing weight, it also helps you lower your blood sugar as well. Now, I say in some cases because weight loss doesn't equal to reversing diabetes, but losing weight does help in some people. Now, Ozempic also increases insulin production, which also lowers your blood sugar, which is also another reason why people's A1C go down. However, let's go back to the malnutrition part. When you lower your calorie intake, and a lot of times when people are on these GLP-1 drugs, they actually eat significantly less than before. Some people only eat 1 meal a day. Now, this causes malnutrition, and with malnutrition, you also risk losing protein. And actually, a lot of doctors also notice that when their clients are on GLP-1 drugs, they also lose a lot of protein. Now, with less protein, you also have less carbohydrate tolerance. So that also may backfire, especially when you get off of these drugs. And having muscle is super important, not just for carbohydrate tolerance, but also for longevity as well. So this is also an important consideration that you want to be careful of when thinking about taking these GLP-1 drugs. Making sure that you have enough protein intake, especially leaning more on plant-based protein because they have added benefits of helping you reverse insulin resistance, and also making sure that you have your resistance training is something that is super helpful in maintaining muscle mass if you do choose GLP-1 drugs. And of course, if you don't choose GLP-1 drugs, exercise is fantastic anyways, but just so that you can be mindful of the effects that these GLP-1 can bring in terms of muscle loss. And it's been found that a lot of times people do get off or choose to get off these GLP-1 drugs because they actually miss eating. They just feel like they miss being hungry for their meals. They miss the joy of eating, which I think is also something to consider, because I personally love that for the next meal, I can have a healthy appetite for the next meal, eat when I'm hungry, stop when I'm full. And I think there's a lot of joy in eating as well. Now let's talk about how you can get the benefits of these GLP-1 drugs with natural foods itself. What's interesting is that fiber can actually be turned to GLP-1 inside your stomach. How amazing is that? So it actually increases your satiety, suppresses your appetite when you eat more fiber. And it's not just happening in your gut, it's also happening in your stomach as well, because foods high in fiber tend to have higher volume, have more water with way less calories. And it's exciting because with natural foods, you don't have the side effects of constipation or gastroparesis. If anything, it's going to give you more antioxidants, more vitamins, more minerals to nourish your body, which is why I'm so passionate about educating people that with natural foods, you can actually reverse diabetes and don't have to rely on diabetic medications to lower your blood sugar. And what's amazing is that once I help people change the way they're eating, change the way that they're living, they actually are able to not only lower their A1C, but even get off medications, including GLP-1 drugs and medication. And I actually have a lot of tips on how you can lower your A1C with natural food itself. You can watch my other YouTube videos, or I've also condensed all of the science about reversing the root cause of type 2 diabetes, which is insulin resistance, in my free reversing diabetes training. Link is in the description below. You can also check that out. And let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about GLP-1 drugs, and I wish that you guys live a long, healthy life.